All right, it's 9 o'clock this Thursday, August 8th. Call this meeting of the Board of Harbor Commissioners for the town of La Pointe to order. With us this morning, we have Jay Wiltz. Present. Susan Widmer.
Here.
Michael Collins.
Here.
Evan Erickson.
Here.
Myself. Glenn Carlson.
Here.
We also have Chief Administrative Officer Katie Kisner and Secretary Lauren Berteau. I'll open the floor to public comment. Oh, and Pete Ross on Zoom. I'm sorry, Pete. I do that every time.
That's all right. I'm here.
Go ahead, Paul.
As usual, just wondering if you could move these meetings to more in the evening, 4:35, something like that. I know we had one special meeting a few weeks ago. It was greatly appreciated, but we could continue that trend. That'd be a great.
Thank you for that. Anything else? We'll move on to the minutes of the August 1st meeting.
I move that we accept the. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Move on to updates. I think we're going to cover everything from my standpoint, so I'll move on to communications.
The Gazette is out, got some interesting responses. Good ones, the kind of thing responses.
It's good.
I don't see anything about, the memo from Cal. Are we gonna address that in Katie's report?
The refrigerated truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's in my report.
Which if there are no other updates, we'll move on to Katie's report. Yeah.
The current balance of the harbor accounts as of August 6th are as follows for the three different accounts. Well, and now we have a fourth account for a certificate of deposit that contains the 500,000. I believe that might have happened on Tuesday or Wednesday. So after I wrote this report.
Which one's the 500,000? Is that the NAN payment?
No, that's the, to get some interest.
Yeah.
We're getting 5% interest on for 3 months. on it.
Gotcha. Oh, yep, I remember now.
And that would be in addition to these other three amounts.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
So we have more like $2 million altogether in cash.
I did, so basically we have the total revenue for the month of July. That is excluding like what we get paid for parcel hauling and our mail contracts. We don't get those payments till a couple months later usually. Which put us at, just for 93.87% of our budgeted income for the month of July. So we're just shy.
Okay.
And then as of August 6th, the revenue for August, we're at just under 186,000, which is about 16.72% of the budgeted income for the month.
And what is August 6th as a percentage of the month? I'm just wondering,
20%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
And it was a busy, and that was, so Tuesday, actually, when I wrote this, I don't believe that all of the income for the weekend had been posted yet. I usually do this in the morning, and usually by the end of the day, Tuesday, I'll have everything for the weekend in there. And it was a busy weekend, so. And then we have Kyle's emails regarding the new refrigerated truck. Everyone has had their time to read over the concerns.
We go on discussion about that now.
Yeah, I would say we have the opportunity.
I'm gonna try to keep myself from going into angry rant. I am beyond disappointed of the management to work with us on this. I don't see the issues. His tests, I was on the phone for 5 minutes with Badger State Truck, which works as a Thermal King dealer. And, you know, I don't know what research Cal did, but the tech I talked to said that an empty box like this, you'll never get to temp, empty. You know, you put cooled goods in it, it'll maintain that temperature of the cooled goods, keep them cold. He said these smaller box trucks are very lightly insulated. He said putting some spray foam in there or some 1 or 2 inch foam insulation in it will greatly help it. Units like these are supposed to be able to run for 10 to 40,000 hours. This unit has 1,000 hours on it. I did try to find someone local who can do refrigerant tests. I don't know who his heating and cooling guy is, but every heating and cooling guy I talked to, which was about 4 of them in the area, including Kyle's Refrigeration, who works on restaurant coolers, says he can't work on mobile units. So I don't know who he has in his pocket that can work on this. But obviously, he must be in outer space or something. You know, Badger State Truck will work on this pretty regularly. I'm waiting for a call back from Boyer to see if they have someone who can work on it, but this is not rocket science. The whole loading thing, it's ridiculous. These semi trucks have Tommy gates that pallet jack in the back of a pickup truck. Those tailgates are no wider than what this freight vehicle is. I had a conversation, reprimand me if you want, with Michael Parsons on my idea of putting a plate in the back of it, level with the box of the truck where the Tommy gate can go on. It's not rocket science. It would work. It's the same size as a tailgate. This is absolutely ridiculous. For the money we're paying the management and management fee, this is absolute bullshit. I'm upset. This is ridiculous.
I think he overlooked like all of the positives to point out every conceivable negative that he could come up
For
with.
the money that they're being paid, this is not the kind of shit we should be getting. We should be getting, you know what? We're gonna make this work. How can we make this work? We shouldn't be getting a list of things he tested and how it's wrong. This is what's wrong is the fact that this company that we hired to manage this ferry line, everything that we try to do, they gotta sit there and send something back that's just all the negatives. I mean, I'll go into the 7 PM boat. I worked for the ferry line, running 10 PM boats out of Bayfield up to Thanksgiving on Friday nights. Yes, they sucked. Some nights they sucked, you know, due to low traffic and crappy weather. But you know what? It was possible. And this 7 PM is not that bad. If there's bad weather, then we cancel the trip. We have the power to do that. Okay, I'm gonna be done.
I would like to point out also that the photographs that were included in this email of that load, which was excessive, is the exception to the rule and the result of them curtailing loads coming over. They asked them to go
So
from
that explains
2
that.
deliveries
Mountain.
a week to 1, and it got to the point where they were running out of food and had to make up
Hmm.
the excess, and it was a huge order. But
And to it, it's good to point out that the dry goods that don't have to be refrigerated can go in the back of pickup trucks. They don't have to go in the refrigerator truck. It's the refrigerated goods that go into refrigeration. And 2, I'll go back to, I'm gonna go on a rant again. I'll go back to an email that I think I sent Glenn, Zach, and Katie about this refrigerator truck. And that if I was gonna look up the federal code on it, but if you're transporting refrigerated goods, you need to have a way to maintain the coolness of that. You know, I know it's a rule, I just haven't looked it up. You know, they used our words of gross negligence for us on the school kid count. Well, it was gross negligence of them for the last 40 years to transport cooled goods without a way of cooling it. And here we are trying to, you know, remedy that situation.
even if the refrigeration unit didn't work, which it does to some degree, it's got to be a better option than refrigerated goods in the back of a pickup truck on a 90-degree summer day in an insulated box,
Not to mention,
especially if you throw any weather into the equation, rain or what have you.
Can I suggest that we add that the refrigerated truck topic to the discussion that you and Katie and I are having with Robin and Falconer?
Yes, I was going to suggest the same, actually.
I'd like to thank Evan for his hard work on this project. I didn't see the possibility of any of these straw men being available for them to throw at us. Because you are as talented as you are, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, second that. So any action we want to take on this, or do we want to suspend until you've had a chance to unpack that with?
I don't think we can really take any action,
On my report and not on the agenda.
but we will address it in person tomorrow with them and soon find an amicable
Yeah.
path forward.
Another thing I might request we discuss tomorrow is, GIF has reached out to me again. I guess, the woman is still reaching out directly to them, now asking about like making sure that they're not bringing this much food over during the winter time. And, it was requested because mostly Lauren and Gip have been going through me, or if they've run into Zach, they've gone through him.
That's not fair. That's,
And they've tried to like, because I asked them to, like, if they needed to communicate with Mifflin in any way, that I was happy to be the middle person to hopefully eliminate some frustration. It seems like one side has done that, but maybe the other side has not, so.
Do they not understand the concept that they are to run a ferry line to transport goods that show up in Bayfield to the island, no matter the time of year? Unless there's ice?
I mean, I think for this particular circumstance, I just don't, maybe we just address that. The problem that's right now, we're being positive and working for a solution
Yeah.
for fixing things right now. And not trying to cause more frustration about things much further in the future when we have issues right now to solve. So that could just be never figuring.
I had thought that Lauren was going to be here this morning to make a public comment, but in our brief conversation yesterday morning, part of that conversation with Robin was that they can't bring that much food over,
Excuse me, he just brought a house over.
right? It was more
Ridiculous.
like they would not be allowed to,
Oh, I see.
was the tone.
you can represent all of that discussion, can't you, tomorrow?
Assuming that I'm able to attend, we had some family developments this morning that may hinder my being there, but I'll do my best.
Next on my report, I did have the travel policy in it, which I know is often an agenda item, but let's just take that.
Yeah, I think we
I
can
just
just,
had a few questions about it, to finalize that, and then. Regarding the text message. Situation at the freight building, Robin did tell me that they did, what they were using was a really old iPad. And so as of the end of last week, I think on Friday, they do have new equipment, a new iPad, and also they're going to have a desktop as a backup. So hopefully the text message situation, I don't know all of the logistics of all the different parts that have been going wrong with it, but hopefully that is up and working and not a technology.
Yeah, I was in there yesterday,
As of this week.
Yeah.
looking just at the count.
Uh-huh.
Every single package requires phone conversation. Absent that text. And it's a very high burden on Joey.
apparently it's put in his 2 weeks notice.
Yes,
Yeah, I heard the same thing. I don't know that to be true, but I heard it yesterday.
he told me as much. Yeah.
I got a text about a package middle of last week, so I assumed it was up and running again, but
And we went in yesterday and he said, no, he's not working again.
And then Robin sent last Thursday that letter regarding the 17 pay. It will also be addressed tomorrow
Good.
at tomorrow's meeting, which having it 10 a.m. And then also this week, Robin expressed her concerns with reducing the working capital that they have. Which we're working to reduce it down to 500,000 from the 700,000. And so I asked her to please clarify and have a detailed explanation as to why she thinks that we shouldn't do that tomorrow at the meeting. That's all. Because everything from our end looks like we should be able to do that. So if she's seeing something that we don't, then
She can reveal that to me.
yeah.
Well, not tomorrow, right? She doesn't want to do that tomorrow, or she does want to talk.
I did ask her to have, if she could explain why tomorrow while we were all meeting anyways.
And she was agreeable to that.
Yeah, she said, yeah. I mean, I just said if she could have more in detail why, other than just telling me no. That would be greatly appreciated. And if we were all meeting anyways regarding these things, then she just explain, then it seems like a good time. I didn't ask for any bank statements or anything like that, so. Let's see with Murdoch.
I will move that we place Katie's report on file as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Katie. Bayfield School District contract discussion.
So we did hear that they do have issues with what we suggested, and we are going to talk about those as well tomorrow.
They being, have you had any feedback from the school district?
The only feedback I've gotten is through the attorney for the school has communicated to Bryce that they're not comfortable assuming responsibility for damages to any Miffle property by students, that would be something that the parents would have to take responsibility for. They can't, frankly, they said they can't get insurance for that.
Yeah,
It seems fair.
Well, what damages is Miffle worried about?
I don't know, but I mean, the fact of the matter is, other than if Miffle engages in gross negligence, anything else besides gross negligence, the Harbor Commission is going to reimburse them for whatever damages there are. So, which is, their same thing of the letter they sent us, not the most recent, but the one before that was, they'd be happy to. Well, they wouldn't be happy, but if we didn't abide by the things that they're listing that we need to do for school attendance, that the Harbor Commission would need to indemnify them for any issues. And my response to that was, well, we have already indemnified them for about everything that is possible to indemnify them for. So that's, to me, a moot point. I mean, we've already done that. So anyhow, it'll be an interesting conversation tomorrow. They have been, I will say, making baby steps towards us. And so hopefully tomorrow we can close the deal.
Have we talked to our new attorney on in terms of Coast Guard compliance of what Miffle's asking versus what we're asking and what in the Coast Guard eyes?
Yeah, Miffle has really kind of backed away a little bit from Coast Guard, citing the Coast Guard. And
Makes sense.
it's really, their unease. And I think that frankly, I think that part of their unease may have to do with, some, in their mind, lacks supervision by chaperones in the past. And that may be more, circumstantial than really a problem with the system. So my latest suggestion, and it seemed like they were willing to do this, was that, have the person, the chaperone, take attendance on their own sheet, which the school says they can do, but have it be done visibly to the crew. And not, well, I'm just doing it when I'm sitting down on the boat right over and no one's going to see whether I'm doing it or not. So, do it visibly. And now what's the problem? They wanted still to have this in the pilot house, this list in a sealed envelope in the event that the chaperone became incapacitated. So, we're getting into,
Yeah, we are.
crazy land.
Yeah.
So hopefully tomorrow we can pull it back and get this thing taken care of.
Good.
And I don't know, I'm just gonna say this, it's like, I don't get the difference between, the school kids that ride the boat every day of their lives to go to school versus these school groups that come over on a busload, wild and crazy from sitting in the bus for 2 hours running around the boat, and not saying that they should be confined to that bus for the boat trip, but I don't understand where they're coming from.
Oh, it's easy. It's assumed that the driver has a list.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
That's right.
I mean, this is just
Anyhow,
ridiculous.
I think we're
Yeah,
making progress, slowly. And, the fact of the matter is there was no contract all of last year. There was no, protocol that was imposed that was, opposed by the school. And so, worst case, we'll just not have a contract.
Did they go incident free with kids all last year?
I think so.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyhow, that's all I have to say on the school district contract.
I look forward to the discussion tomorrow. If no one has anything else, we can move on then to the travel policy review for Miffle.
My main question with that is what do we want? So like with the town's policy, whoever would get approval from like the head of their department. And then all of this that they fill out goes to the town administrator. For Miffle, do we want it to go to Harbor Commission? Do we want, what's the?
I think, yeah, it can go to Zach. Would be my suggestion.
Cause you handle, Glenn, the travel policy for town employees, right?
The administrator does.
Town, which is now you.
Technically, a town chair, an elected official cannot serve as town administrator, so I'm actually just filling in.
Dedicated.
still, the suggestion is that you be the sign.
I'd be happy to do that.
Now they're gonna push
Yeah,
back.
it seems
Say,
to
well, we
me
have-
that, it seems to me that the Harbor Commission should be in the chain of command for the approval of any of that travel. That would be just my opinion.
The full commission?
Unless timing doesn't allow it, I think the Harbor Commission should have a review of all the travel plans of what's going on. Yeah.
And two, I don't know if it was in here, but we talked about any trip that they were taking that they should extend an invite to at least one harbor commissioner to join. Do we want that in there still?
I think so.
I don't know if it's in here. I didn't look at it very closely.
It's not,
I mean, if it's not written in there, it could just be discussed when it goes up for approval, maybe.
yeah, I mean, I feel like this could be very similar to like the bills that come through, like.
Yeah, Katie's got it. That's, can come through with the bills and here's a request for a trip and the Harbor Commission approves it.
And the only other part that was in there was about like vehicles and tracking mileage. Is that all like the same? I would think, or if it says if they're using like, well, it was like a town vehicle.
So the policy, as I understood it, you had to request a town vehicle first. If there wasn't one available, then you can take whichever one you want, then you record it.
Okay, I'll keep that in there, whether it.
I don't think we have a town vehicle anymore, so.
No,
Okay, that was my big question with that. And of the, command that we wanted to finalize with that.
Thank you, Katie. Well, I would make a motion that we approve the travel policy for Miffle as written.
I'll second that.
Any further? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move on then to the freight building parking lot pavement project. And let the record show that Robin, Russell and Calvin attended for joint meeting.
only update I have is that John Humberg called me on Monday and said that he would be over here on Wednesday, yesterday, that he would call me, and I heard nothing from him, so I'll reach back out to him again and see what his schedule is like.
And that didn't fall into the meeting that he had with Ben last week.
I think they had a small discussion of it, but Ben said that it's our deal and not his.
Okay.
So is there gonna be an effort to get back to him or
To,
have that discussion that didn't happen yesterday?
yeah, he's just swamped with
Yeah.
putting
Yeah,
proposals together for
Yeah.
driveways.
I know a
And
bunch of them.
yeah, so I don't know, he's always been kind of, he's kind of one of these guys that all of a sudden just shows up and you have to be ready.
Well, if we don't have anything further on that, we'll table it until the next meeting or have it placed back on the agenda, whichever is more appropriate.
Mhm.
And we'll move on to the Miffle crew boat contract update.
We did send the lease from Miffle to our new attorney, just to have her read over. She received it, but I have not heard back from her yet.
Okay.
That'll be an agenda item probably for next week as well. Assuming we get some response.
Yeah, she said she would get back to us as soon as possible.
Good. Could add that to the list.
Then we'll move on to number 11, the formation of the Miffle Operating Budget Committee. And as we talked about last week, Evan, myself and Susan had volunteered to be on the committee. But we needed formal action to make it happen.
I move that we appoint Zach and Evan and Susie to the Miffle Operating Budget Committee with the understanding that they will be working on the 2025 budget. I think we probably pretty well wrapped up on the 2024 budget.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mhm.
Do we have any bills?
I do know, next week.
Yeah.
Like, basically, there'll be a bill for insurance, switching from other vehicles from Progressive to the town's routine insurance, and then, about half of the vehicles, but we transferred over their titles so that we can. And it's already paid for, because you have to do it when I'm processing them, but I'll just do a retroactive, bill for all. But nothing to.
Future agenda items?
Right now, I've got the freight building parking lot project, crew boat contract update, possibly a school district.
Does the 2024 budget have to officially be approved and then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you.
If you have any concerns for next week would be great.
And that also includes now all of, say, your payroll, Lauren's payroll, the.
Yes, it includes the
legal
Harbor
fees.
Commission budget and various line items as well.
Anything else that? Like you have some agenda item.
There are some potentials, but
Yeah,
I can add them through the week. We'll see how the meeting tomorrow goes.
No.
Yep. We don't have any more agenda items to discuss. Let's talk about our next meeting.
15th or the 22nd.
I think we should probably meet next week.
I do too. Generally speaking, I think it would be great to have, and we could spread them out a little bit, but right now it doesn't seem like there's a window.
Ma'am.
Yeah.
For me. And then I'll open the floor again to public comment. Go ahead, Paul.
Foremost, coming to squirt about this, or in the refrigerated truck. Next time, tell me what you're really thinking, don't sanitize it.
Careful what you wish for. All right, do you have any public comment? Michael? Well, if there's no public comment, then I'll move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
Opposed? Motion carries.